Welcome back to another episode of Hail Yes, a Michigan football and basketball podcast by the Detroit Free Press. I am Andrew Burkle, recording from an undisclosed location in Florida, where sound quality, video quality may not be up to our exact standards. But guys, it is Michigan-Ohio State week, where I am, of course, joined now by Tony Garcia, our beat writer, to talk all about it. Michigan has taken down Maryland. They've gotten over that last hump. And now it's just time for the game. And we've kind of got to this point that we've thought it might be for a while now, right, Tony?
We did, but very quickly, did you say that you're coming from an undisclosed location and then disclose that you're in Florida? Is that what just happened?
I said undisclosed location in Florida. I mean, I had St. Pete Beach, Florida. I was just trying to play it out. But yeah.
Now it's fully disclosed.
That's a pretty large location, Tony. The whole state of Florida would still go pretty under the radar until you blew my cover.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I guess I just figure everyone figures that you're in Michigan. So if had you undisclosed, I actually forgot that you were in Florida, even though we'd talked about it. And so you could have been at Pop's house, or you could have been at your parents, at your grandpa. I didn't know where you were.
I guess I blew it. But I mean,
I'm sure it's nicer there than here. Although it's still fine. It might not be for the game, though, on Saturday. It's starting to look like some of that Michigan weather. And I don't just mean state of Michigan weather. I mean that Michigan football team weather that they love in this game. Little gray, maybe some rain, maybe some snow, maybe some wind, anything that sort of slows the track down and condenses the field, right? But yeah, no, not even just the last 5 weeks since they lost to USC, has it been like, all right, well, the schedule lightens up. They can rip off 5 in a row here. I mean, we thought it would be pretty easy. They didn't make it look easy until this week against Maryland. And it was like, all right, and then they're going to be 9-2 going into the Ohio State game. That wasn't just 5 weeks ago. We did season-long predictions before the season and picked Oklahoma loss, USC loss, 9 other wins. And that's exactly what's happened in 11 games. And here we are. And so I'm not going to say what the pick is right now, but Michigan fans certainly hope that the correct picks are done right here, right? Because preseason, I definitely did not pick Michigan to beat Ohio State. I'm just so glad that we're here. I mean, this is the best week of the year for this job. It is so exciting to just be in the building, to be in the stadium, to be around the coaches, the players, with what they all train for and think about and work for. And I wrote it in the post game from Maryland. I mean, the ethos of the program is built around this week. Right. And the most historic college football program probably in the country. And this is what it prides itself on. And so now we're here and they're still playing for something, right? Like last year, after 3 straight just incredible games in 21, 22, 23 with Big Ten title berths on the line. Technically, that's still true this year, although Michigan doesn't control its destiny. Ohio State does. And then college football playoffs on the line. That's very much true this year, right? And last year it wasn't. And we were just kind of grasping at straws like, how could Michigan pull off some sort of miraculous upset? And I don't even remember what my answer. I mean, obviously I was like turnovers and I was like, and long field goals and just everything going. But I mean, it was like, you just gotta pray, right? Something has to go. It has to go exactly perfectly right with no margin for error. Michigan is going to need to play its best this year again, but there's a little more margin for error. Although Ohio State looks every bit the juggernaut that it has in recent years. They have not given up more than 17. They've not even given up 17 points in a game this season. The first team since late 80s Oklahoma, I think it is. I mean, nobody in college football has done this on defense in any league in the power conferences in 35 years in our lifetime. So it's a tall task.
Yeah. And Ohio State has kind of run into similar scheduling. I mean, they had Texas week 1, who ended up not being, Oklahoma ended up being tougher than Texas. So if we're going apples to apples, but they Penn State not being that good kind of really threw a wrench in a lot of these Big Ten schedules, where should have been another marquee win. It doesn't matter because they've been so good, and they are Ohio State. 16 or not allowing any team to score 17 points against this schedule it needs to be mentioned. Still absolutely incredible. And this defense is playing at a level. It's just littered with NFL talent, top to bottom. And every single week, it seems to be not a matter of if they're going to shut down the opponent, but just how badly they're going to shut down the opponent. Now, Michigan is, we could go through the schedule. It's probably the standalone, by far, second toughest team they'll play all year. So this is going to be a tough task. And Arch Manning, when they played him in week one, also was, that was not the same team that Texas ended up becoming at their peaks at time this year, right? So this is going to be the tallest task that not only Michigan has faced, but also the tallest task that Ohio State has played yet so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could make pretty easily the argument that is what you just said at the end. I mean, this is the toughest game, right? Like Texas week 1 at home is not the same as Michigan in game 12, week 14 on the road with the way these two teams play one another with everything on the line.
I think if Texas and Michigan played on neutral field, the only reason I didn't want to declare it is I think if they played on a neutral field, there's a chance Texas would be favored.
I think they would be.
I think they would be.
Yeah, it'd be pretty close. It would be less than if they were favored, it'd be less than a field goal.
Yeah, it'd be in that like Vegas zone somewhere. Yeah, 2.5, 3 points. But no, it's close, right? So and when you add in all the game and the 4 straight losses, I mean, there is so much to unpack here from both sides. But it's a movie we all know so well. So first, let's rewind quickly. We want to talk a little bit about Maryland and what was Michigan's probably their best performance since. I don't know. Since Washington, was it better than Washington? I mean, we have to factor in the opponent. I mean, it's one of their best, if not the best performance all year, right?
It was the best. I mean, It was the most comprehensive win, certainly in Big Ten play. When they beat Central Michigan 63-3 in the third week of the season, they were also very good that week. But that one is one that you can just sort of set aside because of the talent disparity. But Maryland, obviously, I mean, 7 straight losses. You're not going to confuse them for a good team. But I was pretty impressed by Malik Washington early on, by some of those receivers early on. They were moving the ball, and it was the quintessential Maryland team, right? Like a dynamic quarterback, big athletes on the outside, but really not very good in the trenches, not very disciplined, don't have a lot of answers on defense. And it's not like they had any juice in a home environment to even keep pace. And it really is so. Maryland marches down, scores a touchdown. Michigan responds right back with a touchdown. Maryland punts. It's 7-7. Bryce Underwood's first play of that second drive, he threw what looked every bit to be a pick six, right? Like he's rolling across his body, overthrows Donovan McCulley. He's rolling left, throws across his body, overshoots McCulley. It is in the breadbasket of that Maryland defensive back, and he just boots it, right? And then Underwood says, "You're going to give me a new life? Like, I will take that." They go on a 12-play, 83-yard drive. I mean, the game was never close again, right? And then on the next drive, Michigan was able to make an interception on almost the exact same play. Washington rolling left, throwing across his body. It tips off of the intended receiver's hands. And then Mason Curtis has his first career interception. And from there, and then McCulley made a fantastic play on a 3rd and 9 to slice into the end zone, make it 21-7, and it was never close again. But in terms of Michigan overall, extremely comprehensive. 12 of 14 on third downs. 12 of 14. And they were 11 of 12 when their first team offense was in the game. I mean, they were spectacular. They were 11 of 12 when it mattered on third down. They did not punt. They did not turn the ball over. And then the defense gave up an opening drive touchdown and then nothing the rest of the day in the end zone, except when true freshmen and third stringers and people who are just learning to get run in what was a 45-13 game came onto the field. But that first and second units, I mean, they gave up 2 field goals. They came up with stops inside the 10-yard line both times, sacks both times. And really something I enjoyed, these guys with DMV ties from Michigan, they were the ones who showed out. Derek Moore, Baltimore guy, had a sack. Jayshon Barham, they were calling his name all day. He had 4 tackles. They were all within a yard or 2 of the line of scrimmage or in the backfield. He had a sack. And then Trey Williams from St. John's in Washington, D.C., which is very close to Maryland, he had a sack, his first career sack with Michigan. And those were the 3 sacks. Malik Washington had been sacked 3 times on the season. Michigan got to him 3 times. So when you combine that and then how comprehensive the offense was, and then Andrew Marsh sparking the special teams, he had a 39-yard kick return. He had like 24, 25 yards on a pair of punt returns. It was just top to bottom as good as Michigan has looked all year. There's no other way to slice it. And really, it just goes to show through 3 quarters of that Northwestern game the week before, Michigan was actually playing quite well. right? They had it was the muff punt in the third quarter that sort of changed things, or that really started the flip. And there was that one end around that Andrew Marsh, the defender, just met him right at the mesh point, blew him up. And so that's like sort of, it's an understandable turnover, right? Like those things happen in football. It was the pick, then the other pick, then the fumble on 4th and 1, where things really started spiraling. But they had 500 yards of offense that day. They were 10 of 15 on third down that day. They were moving the ball. It was their most yards of offense since the Fiesta Bowl against TCU. 2 weeks in a row, the signs have been there that this offense was sort of humming. And Michigan did it this last week with Maryland with no Justice Haynes, no Jordan Marshall, and they lost Max Bredesen, who's one of their lead blockers early on. And you got a former walk-on from Grand Rapids, Bryson Kudzall, who's running for 100 yards and 3 touchdowns. Right. And then Bryce taking care of the ball, he hadn't thrown a touchdown in a month. He had 2. McCulley and Marsh got in the end zone through the air for the first time all year. There's really nothing else you could ask for except perfect health.
Yeah. And it was really kind of the epitome of this cliche that so many football coaches like to preach, right? But like next man up really proved to be true, especially in the running back room, where you and I have talked a lot this year about how the running game is the strength of this team, right? Justice Haynes first, then Jordan Marshall slides right in. This week, it's Bryson Kudzall, who finishes with 20 carries for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, right? It wasn't the efficiency that, maybe Haynes was racking up, or maybe that Marshall was as well. But still, it was passable. It was good enough. And I think that, if they have to go into the Ohio State game without Haynes and without Marshall, I mean, you're not like, well, they can't win without those guys, right? Just because of the depth of that running back room has continued to be impressive. And really, it shows that this O-line is a really solid run blocking O-line and can create holes for guys. It doesn't really matter who is back there, right? And I think it's gotten better over the course of the year. And you want to talk about third down efficiency? How do you get third down efficiency and convert at that kind of rate? Where you mentioned they finished 12 of 14 on third downs, really, and there's one of them that was kind of later in the game. That you only get there if you're running it efficiently on first and second down. That it's incredibly impressive, and it shows it's a sign of a healthy offense, right? And it's something they absolutely are going to have to do is get ahead of the chains next week against Ohio State. And also, I think I mentioned the run game has gotten better, but I think another reason why it has too is the evolution of Andrew Marsh, who is a legitimate threat in the passing game. Open things up for McCulley as well. But having that dude on the outside just makes everybody's life easier. He just continues to impress, man. He's a dog.
There's no question about it. Andrew Marsh, I think, for my money, he's the best freshman wide receiver in the Big Ten. Right? He's led the league in passing, in receiving, and it'd be impressive if it was in passing, in receiving since October 1st. That's really when he moved into the starting lineup. He has been phenomenal. He's really given this team an unbelievable lift, and you wonder where they would be without Andrew Marsh, right? But luckily, you don't have to wonder that because he's on the team, right? But it's just those things. Like, you can't always count on a true freshman to develop like this quickly. He came in as the highest rated wide receiver recruit since Donovan Peoples-Jones for a reason. Like, he is that dude. There's no question about it. But there's still, Bryce Underwood was pretty highly regarded as well, right? And it's not, that's totally different position, but it doesn't just happen just because you have stars next to your name, right? Like, you have to do it. But back to that third down thing and talking about just what they're going to, the recipe for this week against Ohio State's defense, which is the best unit in the country. They are going to, Michigan was ahead of the sticks all day long. Here are their third down conversion or attempt / conversion distances on the game. 2 yards, 8 yards, 4 yards, 2 yards, 9 yards, 1 yard, 4, 5, 4, 1, 9, 5, 1, 1, 6, 4. They were 10 of 10 on third and short or closer on that's third and 1 to 4. They had 10 chances. They converted all 10.
There was no third and 15 or third and 10s on there, but a few third and 9s and third and 8s. And that shows, again, a sign of an offense that can move it through the air when the other team knows you have to pass as well. So it's just like, I don't have the numbers in front of me how many of those were runs, but you've got to be able to at least be a threat in the passing game as well, and be able to convert some of those third and longs too, is something that, last year's team could have picked up those third and 1s and third and 2s, but this year's team, the evolution, the development, why this team is actually a legitimate threat to make the college football playoff is because third and long is not just go ahead and punt it now.
Exactly. Yeah. And 9 of the conversions were on the ground, 9 of the 12. So Michigan still knows where its bread is buttered. But then you look at those 3 long conversions, quote unquote long, further than 7 yards. The first one was third and 8. I really had thought it was 3rd and 6, but the box scores got it at 3rd and 8. And that was one of the best balls Underwood had thrown all year on the fade for the touchdown to Marsh to even the score. Then the next one was 3rd and 9, and it was the 22-yard tunnel screen to McCulley. A lot of it was catch after the run, but trusting leading your receiver, good blocking downfield, and letting an athlete make a play in space. And then the last 3rd and 9, maybe this one was the only cheapie that they got all day. It was 3rd and 9. Underwood was under duress. He threw the pass incomplete. And I would say that he was bailed out with a roughing the passer that was not really. The defender sort of dove and hit him just below the thighs, kind of right at the knees, and you're not allowed to dive and bring a quarterback down below the knees or around the ankles like that. And so that one was via penalty. But I mean, regardless, even if you had taken that one away, it still would have been a fantastic day. And so they've just been, the last 2 weeks, that makes them 22 for 27 on 3rd down. It's almost 80%. And then that's helping ball control. That's helping keep your defense fresh. That is the complementary football that Michigan has been known to play. Maybe not with that level of conversions, but just finding a way to control TOP, to get off the field when they're on 3rd down. I think Maryland was 5 of 14 on the day, and they got stuffed. They had 2 turnovers on downs on 4th down. They were, I don't know, I don't have their 4th down in front of me exactly. I can think of 2 where they were stopped. So it's not like it was great. Maybe they converted 1 somewhere.
2 of 4 on 4th down. I
2
just
of 4.
pulled it
Okay.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. On defense. Maryland's offense was 2 of 4. Yeah. So, and Michigan didn't attempt a 4th down conversion all day because they didn't need to.
Yeah. So 7 of 18 on essentially punt or turnover situation. 7 of 18 versus 12 of 14. It's just night and day.
Yep, no doubt. So, okay. I think that kind of covers it for the Maryland game. Unless you have anything else that you want to add, we can take a quick break here. Obviously there's still stuff that might come up throughout the Maryland game, but we want to talk Ohio State. There's a lot to get to here, from the tradition and all the stuff that goes with it, but also the football game too. So stay with us. We'll take a quick break and get into this Ohio State Michigan game on the other side. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for sticking with us here. It is Michigan. It is Ohio State. It is the game. I've been already watching, watch the Lions games today. I can't tell you how many times I saw commercials for it on Fox, right? It's already, when the stakes are like this, you're going to hear about it all week. It's going to be the topic of conversation in the football world. And there's huge college football playoff stakes at it as well, where now USC has lost Oregon. They're pretty much out of the way, right? It's going to come down to, can Michigan beat Ohio State? If they can, this is basically a playoff game, right? For all the people, myself included, who were against expanding out, because I like the 4-team playoff. I thought it might ruin the importance of a game like this. Well, this year, in this particular version of the game, it's essentially a playoff game for Michigan, and for Ohio State, it's not losing to your biggest rival for a 5th straight time. So if that's not high enough stakes, then I don't know what would be. So I think it worked out in this year, and it's going to be a super interesting, different dynamic that we've had in a while, if not ever.
In some ways, it's kind of like the 22 and 23 games, because the field was still 4 teams.
Ohio State can still lose and make the playoff, though, right? So that makes it a little bit different than what it's been in the past.
But just from the Michigan perspective, right? You got to win to make the playoff, and so that much has not changed. Yeah, no, I don't know how you could draw this one up any better. In a way, it's actually almost better that one of these 2 teams, their playoff life, is on the line, because let's say Michigan was 10-1 or also 11-0, right? It would be awesome. But you would just know, all right, both of these teams are safe. It's really just for bragging rights. This one's not just for bragging rights. This one is for your season, for everything that you've worked for, beyond just wanting this victory more than any other victory you want on the schedule.
And Ohio State can end Michigan's season, essentially, right? So they are playing for that as well. If both teams were say they were number 1 and number 2 in the nation, say Ohio State and Michigan had Indiana's season where they're undefeated, some quality wins, there'd be a very high chance they'd play again in the Big Ten championship game the next week. And that one also might not be that big of a determining factor for the college football playoffs. So someday we may get that situation. And that's probably the nightmare situation for the 12-team playoff, as far as like Michigan and Ohio State could play back-to-back games where they don't essentially matter for the for the final result of the season.
And they could meet in the CFP.
And they could meet again in the CFP. And so Michigan could lose to Ohio State twice and beat them in the championship game, or vice versa. If there's a world where that could happen. This year, it's pretty much the best case scenario for stakes for the game, I think, when you consider all of those outside, bonanza college football ideas and like what could happen. This is like about as good as you could draw it up. And I can't wait. So I wanted to go another big picture thing here where the spread caught my eye a little bit, because it's like, how do you even throw a number on this game where it ended up being, it looks like it's 11.5, 11, somewhere in that range. Who knows? By the time you guys hear it, it could go one way or the other, but it's in the double digit range. And it caught my eye because it was just like, I mean, what the heck do you do for this spread? Like, clearly Ohio State, like you said, they haven't allowed more than 17 points all year. Last year, they ran through the playoff. It made them look like the legit team that many questioned after they lost to Michigan the year before, but yet they still lost to that Michigan team. So like, I don't even know where you come up with a spread and where you start with this when Michigan has won 4 in a row and in such different fashions. It's just like this game, the spread, it's just crazy. I don't even know where you throw a prediction out and how you even start. Where's your starting point?
I guess the answer is because Vegas just knows, right? Like they just know everything. They got every metric, but that's not a fun answer or a insightful answer, right? Like, I wouldn't know how to set. Like, I would have thought it would have been 8.5, 9, right? Like somewhere like a touchdown at least, but I don't know, but more than a touchdown and a field goal. Like, you're saying that this game's really not going to be all that close when it comes down to it. That's what that line suggests. And also, Michigan, I mean, it's kind of neutralized this one because Ohio State has such a massive fan base as well. But Michigan's line is always semi-inflated, right? Like, they're always laying a few more points because they're such a big fan base. People want to bet Michigan, right? And so if, let's say, there was no pictures on the helmets, no names on the backs, and it was this roster and this resume versus this roster and this resume, and it's Michigan, Minnesota, what would be a 10-point spread, because it's Michigan, Minnesota, is starting at 12. It just is. They bake a couple numbers. And so if you're thinking that Michigan is, but I don't know that that's the case this time, is what I'm saying. So,
well, I think back in the day, 5 years ago, before Michigan started beating Ohio State every year, Ohio State got a little bit of that love too, right? Because people would be like, Michigan is not going to beat Ohio State. Like, what do the last 15 years show you, right? Like, Ohio State's going to win except for, the one time, right? Where it's like Ohio State's going to win. So I think they got some of that love. And it's funny because now it's almost completely flipped, where it's like, you're going to have to show me before you can throw a huge number on it after last year's, because I was going to throw him under the bus here. Our other fellow assistant editor, Marlo Alter, who has the same job as me. I asked him, like, hey man, have you seen the spread? I was like, I'm curious what you think it is. And he goes, I don't know. Last year was in the 20s. Obviously Michigan's a lot better, but Ohio State's Ohio State. He guessed 17.5. And he is not an idiot. Like, he knows his lines. And so and he follows the sport. He obviously, it's very locked in. So the fact that your guess was 8.5 and his was 17, the fact that those are both somewhat plausible guesses based off the recent history, that just shows you the absolute variance of this game this year, right? It's very, very weird. 17 was high.
Yeah, 17 is high. I mean, is there a scenario is there a doomsday scenario where Ohio State wins this game by 17? I mean, that's not out of the realm of, given what happened last year, nothing is out of the realm of possibility, just to be clear. But setting it that, I mean, who wouldn't take Michigan with 17 points at home in this game?
But I think that's why I think, because if you talk about taking the jersey off the back and stuff, I think that if this game was Ohio State versus Nebraska, or Ohio State versus another not Ohio State level team in the conference from this season, a team who was 10-2, it could be in that 15-point range pretty easily, I think. If this was not Michigan, I think Michigan's getting at least 3 points from the history of the last 4 years baked into this, right? So that's why the 11.5 caught my attention, because I agree. I thought it could have been more in the 8.5. I mean, we're getting really into the weeds now, but I just thought it was an interesting conversation about what the game and what the spread and what it says about the state of this rivalry,
Yeah, no, it does. And also, I mean, I'm curious, I don't know if we even preface this. So we're recording this on Sunday evening at 6:45. So, I mean, we haven't even spoken to Sharon Monday morning yet. We wanted to get this in your guys' feeds as soon as possible. Everybody's thinking about Ohio State, talking about Ohio State. It's just the way it works. But we don't know who's going to be healthy in this one, right? I mean, and that doesn't just go for the Michigan side, right? Like, so quickly, Sharon said after the Maryland game, Jordan Marshall could have played, but respectfully, they felt like they could get it done without him. And so it was so important for him to be even closer to 100% health. Justice Haynes feels like he will not play. Max Bredesen, Dave Abloff, the sports information director for Michigan football, sends out like the weekly availability every Sunday. Max Bredesen is on the weekly availability as someone we are talking to on Tuesday. That piqued my interest because we never talk to people who are injured. Then again, he was on crutches in a boot, looking very hobbled after the Maryland game. So I wonder if it's because he's a two-time captain, he's a fifth-year senior, and they know they can trust what he's going to say, right? There's not going to be any bulletin board material coming from Max Bredesen. So they want him to help set the tone of what's going on in the locker room. He is, I mean, I wrote about it. He's the heart and soul of this team. And so maybe that's why they're speaking, but he's speaking. But I mean, I'm not 100% certain that Bredesen's out. I mean, I'd put it at like 98%, but also on the Ohio State side, Carnell Tate has not played since November 1st against Penn State. Jeremiah Smith, these are their two stud wide receivers. Both could be All-Americans. Maybe they won't finish there. I think Smith will just based on his name alone. But Tate was having the better season through 2 months, just statistically. And maybe they don't make the team just because of their injuries. They didn't quite rack up the numbers, but either of them could be the Blitnikoff winner. And Jeremiah Smith has sat out the last 6 quarters. He didn't play against Rutgers. He sat out the second half against UCLA. And Ryan Day has not spoken to like their health one way or the other. It's sort of a we'll see situation, at least publicly. And so that also, I mean, and not to get back into the spread, but like if Ohio State is missing those two guys, that really is, I mean, I think as a fan, you don't want the other team to be hurt, but you'd rather them be hurt and have a better shot in some way, like when it's this important, right? Like you'd rather beat them. If you know you're going to win, you want to beat them at full strength. So there's no, oh, what about this or excuse or that. But I think in this game, I mean, there is no justifiable excuse. You win or you lose. It does not, nothing about it matters. And Michigan's banged up too, right? Like I'm not just saying Ohio State is the only one. I mean, Rod Moore, we don't know if Rod Moore is going to play. Sounds like Ernest Hausman will be back. He had like a situation this week that people are still trying to figure out exactly what it was. So there's a lot. I mean, these are captains. These are starters. These are guys who have been in on key plays in this game, both ways. And so there's just a lot of unknowns still when it's this early in the week. And maybe we don't get those answers till kickoff.
Yeah, and knowing college football and the secrecy around it, I would say that's probably the most likely thing is that we won't know until 12 o'clock ET. But we're used to that, right? And you want to talk about another reason for stakes for Ohio State, getting in that top 4. Buys those guys a little extra time to get some more rest, not playing in a cold weather game potentially. So you can find a million different reasons for why this game is even bigger for both sides, right? But I think that no matter what, like you said, this game is different than, with this week. So I was thinking about this Lions game that we just watched, a couple hours ago where they barely beat the Giants, right? And I think that when Jackson Dart didn't go and then it ended up being Jameis Winston, it almost kind of hurt them, right? Because they weren't as locked in, perhaps as like, oh, we're getting the third stringer today, right? And it's Jameis Winston. You can't take him lightly because all of a sudden he'll dice you up for 350, right? There's not that element to this game because you're just so locked in. College is different. If Jeremiah Smith doesn't play and Ohio State loses, people will still remember it as Ohio State loss 30 years from now, right? So there just isn't that element to it.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba missed the game. It was, I mean, all the games run together. I think it was 22, the one in Columbus that he missed. And now with receivers coming up, I mean, I'm hearing it in like the Ohio State spheres and like you're seeing it in their message boards or whatever and just online that they're talking like, oh, what if it's another JSN situation? But it's not like people remember that as like Ohio State lost because JSN wasn't in. It's like, oh, that was the day that Donovan Edwards had back-to-back 75 and 85-yard touchdown runs and Ohio State was up 10-0 and JJ hit Cornelius Johnson on a 69-yard like slant on 3rd and 8 because Ohio State ran cover 0, right? Like you remember plays, you remember moments, you remember the details. Colston Loveland had his coming out party. He had a huge 45-yard, I think it was a touchdown. If not, he was tackled at the 1, I guess I mean, Mikey Sainristil's pass breakup on Cade Stover in the end zone, right? Like you can do this on and on with these games. You know the moment. Rod Moore's pick in 2023, Blake Corum's run in 23, right after Zinter gets carted off. I mean, that's still, it might be, I mean, that was, I guess, like when Michigan had the stop in the Rose Bowl on 4th and 2 against Alabama, that was probably like the biggest moment just because of the stakes. But I've never heard a stadium go from so silent to so loud in the blink of an eye. I mean, you could hear a pin drop after Zinter was carted off. And then Corum rips off a run, flashes the 6-5 to the camera. This game is what legacies are made on. And it's not about, oh, this guy was unavailable or that guy was unavailable. Somebody steps up.
Absolutely. All right, we talked all about the moments. Let's spell it out. What are going to be the moments for Michigan if they win this game? How did they get there? What do the plays look like? And what kind of style is it going to have to be? I assume you think it's going to be rough it up, tumble it up, right? And don't let Michigan or Ohio State's offense run away with it and control TOP. But it's different every year, so we don't always know, right?
Yeah. I mean, before this last week, I would have thought Michigan, I mean, I didn't know how Michigan would score I didn't know if Michigan would score 17, right? Now I feel like the way their offense is clicking, feels like they could, I think they'll be the first team to score 17. They might get somewhere in the 20s. Higher than that is just tough to see when Ohio State hasn't given up more than 16 all year. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's old, but it's true. You got to win turnovers, got to win time of possession, got to dictate the terms in the trenches, got to establish the run, got to convert third downs, and you got to have a big play. Somebody's got to make a big play. It feels like they've had a big play in the run game every week. I mean, this week was like the first one where they didn't rip off like a 50-yarder in like maybe all season. It feels like Marshall or Haynes had always ripped off a big one, but even still had a 19-yard touchdown, right? And so it feels like maybe it's going to be Andrew Marsh. He has just been so money for this team. I think like if I'm Michigan, you got to use the run to set up the pass, or they might play it backwards, right? Like that RPO game that worked really well against Northwestern. I think you see a lot of that. I think you try to make the linebackers and the edges make a read. You have quick throws, quick game, like decisive decision, like where Bryce doesn't even have to think, right? He's just reacting. If the edge comes down, I keep it. If they're only rushing 3, if I see the hole or like my line has the push, I hand it off. Or if the blitz is coming from that way and that's where my hot receiver is and I get it out, right? Like boom, boom, boom. You're just making decisions. You don't want these long drop backs and intricate route combination. Like it's just kind of down and dirty. And so, I'm looking for Marsh. I'm looking for Marshall. Bryce's legs, one way or the other. That's going to be a big factor for this team. And then the defense has been pretty good for a while. And Ohio State's run game is not vintage by any means this year, right? Like they have like some fine numbers. Bo Jackson, not that Bo Jackson, a different Bo Jackson, is our leading ball carrier. He's got like 835 yards and 5 touchdowns. And CJ Donaldson is sort of like their hammer at the goal line. He leads the team with 10 scores, but they don't have a 1,000-yard rusher. It's not like Julian Sayin is not a Justin Fields or a Braxton Miller or one of these guys who or JT Barrett, like a true dual threat quarterback. So to help alleviate the pressure from that run game. And so Michigan, like if Ohio State can't run the ball, and we've seen they can't in recent years, Michigan, there's all these little ways for Michigan to stay in it.
And that feels like one of, if not the biggest storylines that will be discussed on the broadcast and all the different game conversations about it is just like during the game, is Ryan Day going to bang his head on the wall if they can't run the ball just to try to establish that will, like he kind of did in last year for sure, right up the teeth of Michigan's defense. And Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant were waiting right there, ready for it, That
was not a good plan.
And then he learned this lesson in the playoff, opened things up, and boom, Will Howard and that offense explodes last year, right? It's Michigan, Ohio State. They're gonna try to establish the run. Everybody tries to establish the run. How quickly is he comfortable abandoning it? How is Michigan able to adjust if they do abandon it? Do they stick with it? Or if they're able to run the ball, how does Michigan adjust to that? I feel like that one storyline is going to determine so much of how we discuss about this, or how we discuss this game. It's just how persistent Ryan Day will be in that running attack, and if they're able to run the ball.
And I think another storyline that'll probably develop more throughout the week is just the mental pretzel that Michigan has had Ohio State in for half a decade now, right? And like just having the upper hand in so many ways. And while it was like pulling teeth for so many games, Purdue was ugly, Northwestern was ugly, Wisconsin was ugly. Washington for 3 quarters was ugly, right? But Michigan learned how to win. in a lot of these games. Ohio State hasn't been tested in the slightest. And now that's like a credit to them for being such a juggernaut that they're just putting teams away. And you want that to be the case until you're in a tight game. And then all the years pile up, and then you haven't been tested in that way this year. If Ohio State's only up 4 and Michigan has the ball, or Michigan's up and Ohio State needs to make a big drive and it's the second half, it's going to get a little tight on that Buckeye sideline, like you would think. And so just and I don't see Ohio State just going up 21-0 or something and like just putting this game away right away, right? Like I just don't see that happening. And so it feels like it's going to get to that point midway through the game where I'm going to be looking around with my friends and colleagues in the press box, like they're right in this range. Like this could happen. And then and just quickly, Michigan can still go to the Big Ten championship game. Like I might be going to Indy next week. You just never thought that was really in the cards. As after the USC game. I mean, just because there's so many teams, it's like you figured like at least one or maybe two might run the table or only have one loss. But I mean, the path is really obvious. Michigan wins the game. Washington beats Oregon in Washington, which is not impossible.
No.
And then Michigan's playing Indiana in Indy for the Big Ten title. And so I think Michigan fans, and I think I had the pulse on this pretty well. I think Michigan, obviously, they want to beat Ohio State. I don't think Michigan fans would mind whatsoever if Oregon took care of business against Washington. They go play that extra game. And then, hey, we're 10-2. We got to win over the number 1 team in the country. We've won 6 in a row. Let us rest up. Give us our playoff spot and just tell us where we're traveling.
I couldn't agree more, because if I were a Michigan fan and, looking at it from a fan perspective, that would be what I would want for sure. Like why mess with that game? And we talked about it last week when I think I said 56-0, right? And you laughed at me. Right, like somehow you have the emotional hangover of the Ohio State game, and or you have an injury risk, right? I mean, there's just no reason really outside of the history and trying to add a Big Ten title. Now, if they get there, Michigan fans will be completely 100% invested in trying to beat Indiana, get that seat higher, right? It's not like there's nothing to play for, but just not having to do so would not be the worst thing in the world for the Wolverines. So we're about to at that time here. We're going to keep the predictions and the picks just to one game here this week, because it's the game, as we like to say, when covering this showdown between Michigan and Ohio State. So last week, Tony went 0-4. I went 1-3 in the picks.
In the freezer, in the deep freeze.
I honestly can't believe how bad it's been. I mean, I've been bad, but you had such a substantial lead on me, and I haven't been good since then. I've been below average since then, and I've still hawked you down, and I have a 1 big lead on you. It's genuinely funny how cold you've been. I hope somebody out there is crazy enough to have tailed the opposite of your picks and is just making hand over fist right now.
Yeah, we call that the fade. I was 15-10 at one point. I'm 8-19 in my last 27 picks. So not great, Bob.
Not great, Bob. Not great, Bob.
Not great. Couple of those are on a hook, but when you have 19 losses, you can't be talking about the 2 you lost on a hook. It's just bad. It's just bad all the way around.
That's like the school in East Lansing, their coach to try and defend like one of their losses. Like, well, if it happens every single game, I think it's a trend and not necessarily a piece of luck.
Exactly.
Okay, let's just get right to it. You already wrote your early predictions, so explain your logic here and how do you see this one going?
Yeah, well, I mean, Michigan's offense has started to click more lately. Like I said, they had 500 yards against Northwestern, put up 45 points against Maryland. They have had Ohio State's number for a number of years. There's questions about Ohio State's health, and Michigan has everything to play for at home. All of it lends itself to being a close game. I promised myself last year, I think I said it on this podcast, or I have earlier this year, I can't pick against Michigan in this game until Ohio State shows me that they can win this game. But I've been so ice cold, I think I have to pick against Michigan. And that's not even why. It's just Ohio State is so loaded. I mean, they have been week in and week out the best team in the country. And I just think Ohio State has enough to get it done. Now, they've been favored the other 4 times and they've never gotten it done. So maybe Michigan's got them right where they want them. But I see this now, given what I've seen last week, I see this as closer than I did a week ago. I think I probably would have picked Ohio State to cover that spread had Michigan not looked so comprehensive this last week. So they say good teams win and great teams cover, but that it won't bring a lot of solace to Michigan fans if this team misses out on the playoff when they are right on the doorstep. But I got Ohio State 27-20.
I see it pretty similarly. I also am definition of insanity, right? I'm picking I'm picking Ohio State to cover here as well. It's not a knock on Michigan. I think that this game will be close. Like you said, everything says that this game will be close, and I think it will be. I see it as Ohio State is up by maybe 3, 7, somewhere in that range, 4, and then maybe gets the ball towards the end of the game and makes that statement final drive to go up by 11, 12, 13, 14. So I wrote down 24-10. I think that's mostly a statement about Ohio State's defense, and I think Michigan's defense can keep this Ohio State offensive attack in check. Julian Sayin gets better every single game. The Heisman dialogue surrounding him was kind of ridiculous at first, but as the season went on, I was like, no, this guy he's a baller. He deserves to be in this conversation. At least mentioned. I don't know if he deserves to win. It's kind of a weird Heisman year, but either way, point being, he's gotten better throughout the entire season and will test this Michigan passing defense. So that's just kind of how I see it going. It just being a close game that maybe Ohio State puts the finishing stamp on, the horseshoe erupts, and they get their first win in since 2019, right? Because there was no game in 2020. So yeah, it's been a long time, and the cathartic release would be
immense.
Would be something that I would not want to see if I was the team seeing Ohio State in the playoff.
No, for sure. And I love how you say how it's a weird Heisman year. Like last year, it was a weird Heisman year because it was between a two-way player and a group of 5 running back. Now we got another weird year, and these are the 2 years I'm a Heisman voter. It's like I feel like I'm just so torn on what to do. Like Diego Pavia was kind of my front runner a month or so ago, but Vanderbilt's just kind of fallen off. I don't see myself going that way. Mendoza is certainly in there, and so
Mendoza we talked about earlier. We talked about moments, right? Like outside of the insane catch against Penn State, that insane play, but that was mostly the toe drag swag that's what everyone talked about from that moment. Mendoza led the drive. That drive was a moment for him, but everyone was talking about the catch, right? No one was talking about, man, that ball by Mendoza. Like he's just lacking a bit of a moment. I feel like otherwise he might be the runaway favorite,
For sure. And then, you got some other guys. I don't think I'm going to go this way, but like Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker from Texas Tech, he is the face, the heartbeat of what is maybe the 1 or 2 defense along with Ohio State. He's got 97 tackles. He's forced 7 fumbles, has 2 recoveries, 4 picks, a sack, half a dozen passes defended. Run game, pass game, forcing turnovers, leading Texas Tech to key wins. He's done it all. But it's are you really going to vote for a linebacker from the Big 12 for a Heisman? It's just such a wild proposition. So he'll be on my ballot. I just couldn't see putting it first. I'm still paying the price for some of our friends for voting for, oh my goodness, Travis Hunter last year. So a lot of my friends felt like it should have been Genty. I know.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Why? Because the NFL bias? That fires me up because we've never seen anything like what he did and defined a role in a sport that hasn't seen it.
He led Boise State to the playoff.
And look at Colorado this year. But Colorado was only
8-4 last year. I hear the argument, and I was going back and forth, but I went with Hunter, and this year feels muddier than the last. So
what about Jeremiah Love? We didn't mention him.
Oh yeah, no, he's the fourth. Those are probably the 4, and probably Love is probably third. It's probably the 2 quarterbacks, and then Jeremiah Love. He's been great, but he doesn't have a Heisman moment either, right? Or a marquee win, and it's just that makes it tough.
I was thinking when all this talk about independency, which we haven't even had time to talk about this week when you were at the Board of Regents meeting, reported a little bit about that. But the independency talk got me thinking that, man, I miss Michigan, Notre Dame, and Michigan State, Notre Dame. And when that used to be a thing in this state where every year you could count on those games, it used to be I think it was Michigan week 2 and Michigan State week 3 for multiple years in a row. They're we need to get those games back in the schedule for both teams in our state that we cover because the sport is just better when Michigan and Notre Dame are playing. Michigan State and Notre Dame have their own trophy they play for. And it was always such a fun early season compare point. You could be oh, well, Michigan beat Notre Dame and Michigan State lost by 10. What does that say about the game? I just always had fun comparing that. It was an early season thing to latch into. So hopefully they are back on the schedule at some point, right? Isn't it way down the line?
I don't know that off the top of my head. Maybe I should. Obviously I should, but I don't. And that doesn't sound.
We'll get research on it.
Yeah.
That could be wrong. Maybe I'm thinking about Michigan State and Notre Dame are on the schedule, but we'll get research on that and report it back to you guys next week.
Yeah. We'll get to you. Yeah. Next week. And then, obviously we don't have any time to talk about it, this week because we're wrapping up, but Michigan hoops has a big week. They got the Players Era Championship in Vegas. On Monday, they play San Diego State. On Tuesday, they play Auburn. And then it is the most convoluted tournament bracket style format tiebreaker situation. So we got no idea who they're playing Wednesday or Thursday, not both. Either or, like one or the other. But big week for Dusty May and the crew. So fun litmus. I mean, top 10 hoops. The women's hoops team just pushed Connecticut to the brink in stores. And so, I mean, have promised myself I'm going to try to make it to some of their bigger games this year. It's just so hard. I mean, there's only one of me. You got a college football playoff. You got a team that's like Final Four bound. You got recruiting. You got
transfer portal,
regions meetings, portal it's a lot. But they deserve it. Silas Swords, dog. Olivia Olson, dog. Kim Barnes-Rico, fantastic job with the program. And then Michigan hockey. I think they're going to be number one in the country this year or this week when the new rankings come out. Because I think Wisconsin just swept MSU and Michigan just swept Ohio State. So number one hockey, 2 top 5, top 6 hoops programs, certainly top 10, and a football team playing for a CFP. Not bad. Things are not bad in Ward Manuel's athletic department right now.
Just real quick, I was not losing my mind. And of course, they're probably going to like announce that, we're wiping these games off the slate.
2034.
2033 and 2034. Michigan and Notre Dame are playing. So look forward to it. Mark your calendars, guys.
Yeah. I'll be
8 years from now.
I'll be 40 years old. I don't even want to think about those years. It's 2025 right now. That just gave me I just had a complex in that moment. I'm 32. We're enjoying being 32.
Once upon a time, we probably saw Michigan and Oklahoma on the schedule and thought, dude, you're going to be 32 when that game happens. So life comes at you fast.
It does. It sure does.
All right. Well, everyone have a great holiday weekend. Thanksgiving, one of our favorite weeks of the year. We got Lions football on Thursday, Michigan basketball all week, leading right into the game on Saturday. So please check with us for it all. Tony is going to be extremely busy. We'll be busy covering all the different stuff. We got Pistons are good now. I mean, it never stops in this state with sports, and that's what we love so much about it. So stick with us at freep.com. Thank you to our acting editor, Ryan Ford, for helping out, making this all happen. Thank you to our editor-in-chief, Nicole Avery Nichols, and thank you to Robin Shan, the man who always makes these edits happen and really makes us sound good. So thank you to everyone. Thank you to Tony for crafting time, and we will chat with you guys next week after Michigan and Ohio State.